Donald Trump's major victory in Pennsylvania with its 19 electoral votes, a big blow to Vice President Harris. Both candidates spent the most time stumping across the Keystone State, and Trump's biggest growth since 2020 in rural and smaller Rust Belt cities, including Allentown and Scranton. NewsNation's Caitlyn Becker is live in Bucks County at the Board of Elections. So, Caitlyn, Pennsylvania truly was critical to Trump's success.
It was, Nichole. We knew that going into the election, and so did the candidates. As you just said, this was the place where they spent the most time. I mean, Kamala Harris spent her entire election eve in Pennsylvania, but she just couldn't mobilize enough support to edge out Donald Trump. You're looking at the numbers here where you see Trump as the projected winner of Pennsylvania. They are still counting the votes, but it is not anticipated that that gap is going to close there. And how did he win this state is really the question. We saw Donald Trump overperforming in a lot of areas, and in the places where Kamala Harris needed to perform and perform really well, she won those counties and those areas in a lot of places like Philadelphia County, but just wasn't as strong as she really needed to be. Philadelphia County stands out, as well as those critical Philadelphia suburbs like Chester County, Delco, Montgomery County. Bucks County, where I am right now, flipped red. This was a place that Kamala Harris really did need to win. And when you see the flip, you see what a tiny, tiny, tiny margin there. I mean, less than half of a percentage point separates these two, but it makes a huge difference when it comes to winning the electoral college votes. Now, you see that small margin there, but as compared to 2020, it's about a 5-point swing in Bucks County towards Trump based on what we saw against Trump and Biden. So that's a pretty big gap there. And this is actually the first time that a presidential candidate from the GOP, a Republican presidential candidate, has won in Bucks County in 35 years. And what it does seem to come down to, Nichole, is the issues that the voters were voting on when they checked that ballot box. It did not seem to be a question of personality. It did seem to come down to the issues. And we know Pennsylvania voters across the board, you're going to talk about this later nationally, talked about the economy. The economy was their biggest sticking point, as well as things like public safety. So it didn't seem to hedge so much on issues that Kamala Harris was really strong on, like reproductive rights and women's rights, as opposed to the economy, where she was a lot weaker and Donald Trump was a lot stronger, Nichole.
Yeah, so Caitlyn, you're talking about what mattered to voters kind of statewide there in Pennsylvania. I know you spoke to Bucks County voters specifically at the polls. What are the people there saying?
You know, at the polls yesterday, that's where we were at in Bucks County, and we were back here today at the Board of Elections. There was a lot of vocal Trump support. I mentioned this yesterday. I don't know if that's because the Harris supporters just aren't as loud or noisy when it comes to who they're supporting, but it was very clear who the Donald Trump supporters were, and they were really approaching us and wanting to talk to us about it. And we know, of course, I am not the numbers girl. We have DDHQ to handle that, and of course, our Connell, McShane. But anecdotally, when we talked to poll workers about what they were seeing all day as they were working the elections, they said the issue, again, that the voters were going for was the economy and public safety. That does seem to be what matters to them the most. And Bucks County voters in particular know how crucial their vote is to tipping the scales of the election. I want to show you a little clip of a first-time presidential voter yesterday who was also a volunteer. He's 18 years old, explaining how important it is for him and the other Bucks County residents to cast their vote. Take a look.
It's our civic duty to go and make our voices heard. I also know that when I vote, I can't complain about the result, because the worst thing that happens is people complaining about the winner or the loser when they haven't voted yet.
Even at 18, he certainly knows how this shakes out. You can't complain if you don't vote.
Thanks for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your screen. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.